The sheriff's truck blocked my driveway at dawn, holding a lien notice ordering me to sell my own land. "You have 30 days, Karen smiled, clipboard in hand, "or the HOA takes everything your grandfather left you."
I'm Rachel Hale.
A single mom raising 2 kids in Maple Ridge, Texas, running my late grandfather's small nursery business. My grandfather bought this half-acre creekside lot in 1968, decades before Maple Ridge Estates HOA even existed. Karen Whitfield became HOA president last spring, promising beautification. But neighbors whispered she really craved control. A developer named Colton Briggs wanted my lot for a clubhouse expansion, offering the HOA board a hefty donation. I refused every offer politely, explaining the land was my grandfather's legacy, not something for sale. Karen showed up uninvited, insisting my greenhouse violated a covenant that supposedly predated my grandfather's original deed. "Your fence is 2 inches over the line," she snapped, snapping photos like evidence for a trial. I showed her my grandfather's original 1968 survey proving the land was grandfathered outside HOA jurisdiction. Karen barely glanced at it, tucking it into her folder with a tight, dismissive little smile. "We'll let the board decide that," she said, though everyone knew Karen was the board. Fines began arriving weekly, 200 here, 500 there, for imaginary violations nobody else in the neighborhood faced. I paid what I could, but the amounts kept climbing faster than any reasonable homeowner could manage. My neighbor Tom warned me quietly, "She did this to the Ortegas last year. They sold and vanished." I started keeping every letter, every email, every photo Karen sent, sensing I'd need proof eventually. At the next HOA meeting, Karen accused me publicly of endangering property values with my nursery business. Several neighbors gasped. Others stayed silent, afraid Karen's fines might land on their own doorsteps next. My daughter asked why the lady kept coming to our yard with a tape measure and a scowl. I told her it was just grown-up business, though my hands shook pouring her cereal that morning. Karen filed a covenant violation lawsuit against me, claiming my greenhouse was an unpermitted commercial structure. My lawyer, a tired but sharp woman named Priya, said the case was thin, almost laughably so. "She's rushing this," Priya noted, like someone with a deadline pushing from behind the scenes. I later learned Karen's husband, Dale, worked construction contracts for Colton Briggs, the very developer eyeing my land. That connection wasn't public record. Karen had kept Dale's name off every HOA document entirely. A twist. The covenant Karen cited didn't exist in the county's original 1968 filing at all. Someone had added it later, dated suspiciously close to when Colton first approached the HOA board. I confronted Karen calmly, asking who authorized amending decades-old covenants without a homeowner vote. "Legal technicalities," she snapped. "Don't change the fact that your lot doesn't belong in a modern community." For 2 weeks, the fines stopped, and Karen seemed almost pleasant, waving from her porch each morning. I let my guard down slightly, hoping reason had finally won, or that she'd simply moved on. My son planted new tomato seedlings, and for once, our yard felt peaceful, untouched by clipboards or threats. Then a certified letter arrived, and I realized the silence had only been Karen regrouping her strategy. The letter announced an HOA special assessment lien sale, scheduled for my property in 60 days. Karen had quietly pushed an emergency board vote through while 2 dissenting members were on vacation. I demanded the meeting minutes. The HOA management company claimed the records were temporarily unavailable. Priya dug through county archives and found the altered covenant had been notarized by Karen's own cousin. "That's fraud," Priya said flatly. "Not a technicality, actual, provable, prosecutable fraud." Karen escalated further, telling neighbors I was unstable and harassing the board to discredit me preemptively. Someone slashed my garden hose and dumped fertilizer into my irrigation tank overnight, though nothing was ever proven. My daughter cried, asking why someone hated our garden so much it needed to be destroyed. Tom quietly confessed he'd seen Dale's truck near my property line the same night the hose was cut. I installed cameras, determined to document everything before Karen erased more evidence or intimidated more witnesses. Karen invited me to settle privately, offering a lowball sum far under my land's actual market value. "Take it," she urged, "before the lien sale wipes out everything, including your equity." I refused again, and her friendly mask slipped for just a second into something colder, sharper. "You'll regret this," she muttered, before catching herself and smiling stiffly for the neighbors watching nearby. A twist. My camera caught Karen herself trimming my fence line back at night, staging a fake violation. I sent the footage to Priya immediately, my hands trembling with equal parts fear and vindication. "This changes everything," Priya said. "Now we have intent, not just paperwork errors." Karen scheduled a final community vote to approve seizing my land through the falsified lien process. She papered the neighborhood with flyers calling me a troublemaker who threatened everyone's property values. I felt the community's eyes shift, some neighbors avoiding me at the mailbox, unsure what to believe. My son overheard kids at school repeating things their parents said about our family being difficult. Priya subpoenaed HOA financial records, uncovering payments from Colton's company routed through Dale's shell contracting firm. Karen had received consulting fees timed suspiciously with every major vote against my property. The county clerk confirmed the altered covenant filing had never been legally registered or approved by anyone. Priya smiled grimly. "We're not walking into that meeting defensive. We're walking in armed." The night of the vote, the community clubhouse filled with anxious neighbors and one very confident Karen. She opened with a polished speech about protecting community standards against reckless property owners like me. I stood, hands shaking, and asked to present evidence before any final vote took place. Karen tried to cut me off, insisting the agenda didn't allow personal grievances to be aired. Priya stepped forward instead, professional and unshaken, requesting the board honor open meeting disclosure laws. We played the footage of Karen trimming my fence herself to fabricate a violation. Gasps rippled through the room. Even Karen's closest allies on the board looked visibly stunned. Priya then revealed the forged covenant, notarized by Karen's cousin, dated after Colton's first offer. "This isn't community standards," Priya said. "This is fraud, orchestrated for a developer's payout." Karen's voice cracked. "You're twisting facts. Everything I did was for this neighborhood's future." A board member stood, sliding financial statements across the table showing Dale's payments from Colton's firm. "You mean your future," he said quietly, "and your husband's construction contract." Karen looked around for support and found only silence, then slowly retreating, disgusted faces. Someone in the back had recorded the entire meeting, later posting it to the neighborhood's community forum. By morning, the video had thousands of views, and reporters were calling Karen for comment she never gave. The HOA board voted unanimously to void the lien, the covenant, and Karen's presidency the same night. Weeks later, county investigators charged Karen and Dale with fraud, forgery, and misuse of association funds. My grandfather's land still stands, greenhouse intact, while Karen's sold sign quietly appeared on her own house.